want me to be in the video, I'll just point at them.
Okay.
Wait.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you can point.
Some horses there, they belong to the stud, and this was the Abraham place. That's where they went over to church before they, had a church here at Tent Hill. And listen, I'll take my seat now. See ya. Oh, here, still yet. And that's the stud place. The Abraham house, but it's been altered. Them weatherboards. Well, they were there, but this weatherboard end here, that was nothing here, and it was down, and they had a kitchen, it appears, separate until they built a better house. But there was a landing in between, just a kitchen, and then later when people bought it here, like they took the shingles off and they made it into a barn and horse stable. See, that's why it's that way. But it was a shingle roof.
Shingle roof.
Yeah. Yes, and the slabs. You'd be amazed at the white slabs that are in it.
Yeah.
See,
I can see them from here.
oh, you can, and there was nothing there. There was a separate kitchen, and they had a campfire, like open, or like open and what you call it, all round, and the rails on top. And
It's the dam you were talking about.
yeah,
That fig tree would have been planted by our granddad?
yeah, either the granddad or some of the boys. You see, up here
Was planted by
was
Abraham.
softwood scrub, not brigalow. This is all brigalow, but somewhere was softwood scrub, and they used to have these fig trees, and they'd be growing on top of a tree. And,
Being a wheelwright.
yes, that's right.
Some of the other
This
bush.
was either one of the boys, but no, this would have been original when he built it. This isn't, but that was put on, and there was a kitchen here, and they had that open fireplace just had iron bars on, because my mother used to talk about it. And they were getting the stove, she furious. She came to see Hannah and Bertha, and she said, "Who will get the first stove?" And that's what she talked about. We had that too when my mother and father got married, and she talked about we got a stove in 1914.
I mightn't be able to take any more. Don't have any more, aren't you? That's all right.
These come from Gatton Sawmill. It was a fellow named Ballard. Ballard had a sawmill. And
Yes,
they paid,
kerosene tin.
well, I don't know about this, but they paid 8 shillings a hundred feet for timber. 8 shillings a hundred. They might have had slabs here first, because I tell you for why now. This is exactly, then they put these down on top the old there.
And they were cut by hand, they must have been.
Oh yes, split.
Yes.
Now, I don't know how, but I know how slabs were split because I helped when I was a young
Yeah,
fella.
well, I've seen pictures
You
of
see,
them
you
doing it
get it
too.
in the billets, and
Yeah.
they put wedge this side, that
That's
side,
right.
run them along,
Right, this way.
both sides,
Well, up and
all the
down,
way
up
down,
just
and
a
then
couple of them.
they'd start
I just thought a couple
from the top end, that's the stump.
Now this is the dam that our grandfather Abraham built and used to carry water from the dam by hand in buckets down to their house, which was a timber slab home, as you can see down there in the distance. And there you see Alec and Doris and Reen and Betty. This is where they used to carry the water down to the house by bucket from their dam up on the top of this rise here. Here. There's some horses here on the property that there I have the dam again. My dad probably built with Granddad 80 years ago, from which they used to get their water to supply their household, and they lived in this little slab cottage. Down there. These horses just seem to like my company. They seem to want to know what's going on. They're making them itself at home on the farm at Ropley, where my dad and Granddad lived 100 years ago. This seems a lovely little valley that Dad and Granddad lived when they first came out to Australia 105 years ago. This is the valley at Ropley. I think it looks beautiful. I wouldn't mind living here myself a little while. That dam would be 100.
What I wanted to tell you, Lou, now that was a dam, but it's been altered. It was on that end, and they used to grow vegetables there. It was only one fence, a paling fence. And they had a gate they'd always carried in kerosene tins and buckets and water all the vegetables, and also they grew rosellas for jam. And then further down, that was cultivation, and they used to grow, they had pigsties. They had pigsties down there, where you're looking. There was pigsties, and the dairy was on your left, along there where them fig trees are up a little. That's where dairy, they had all this climb, and the milking bales were here in this corner.
Who planted that fig tree?
I didn't hear.
Who planted the fig tree?
I don't know who planted, but my father told me like that we had to come here once for seed corn, and he said that fig tree was Abraham boys got it from the scrub, and it was planted here. But I couldn't tell you who would have planted it. But the softwood scrub was that way. This was all regular. There was no fig trees then, but that was now it must be perishing from age. But all he said, the Abraham boys brought it from the scrub, and that's where it was planted, saying it was a beautiful tree at that time. And she's never married, and she used to be a teenager and all that. And they said from the solvents, was the thorns and that. It's very rare disease. It's nothing like a cancer, but now from the operations and everything again, then it came, it was a bag that was all the bell. It should just come out of hospital. That's where we were yesterday.
I just thought while I was here I'd take a photograph of the name. It's a pity the original school's not here.
Well, it's not far away.
We saw.
You see the old slab shack?
Your name on the board there. You used to do that for a while, didn't Manners make a man. And as we all know, courtesy, politeness and good manners are the secret to a good and clean and healthy existence. Remember that 3 of the greatest and bravest men who ever lived, the Duke of Wellington, General Gordon and George Washington, were all distinguished by their good manners. What were they distinguished by? Good manners. Good manners. Good. And cleanliness is next to godliness. And when all this is added together, we must always remember that to live a clean and honest life is the secret to the kingdom. Honesty is the best policy. Oh, that's for to wash people's mouths out.
We didn't get the dancer's hat out.
We didn't do that. I had a customer for that last time. I wasn't quick enough.
So that the teacher will get the students to wash their mouth out with, if so needed. And of course, every child who attends school must have a handkerchief. And so, in actual fact, that they have arrived without one, well, they will make the teacher make sure that they are presented with one. And of course,